Season 3 is here, and it's all about jungles, Geno, and everyone's favorite hobby, illegal sprite trafficking. I've had a lot of fun playing this season, and this is probably the most hours I've put into this game the whole year. It's a genuine breath of fresh air, considering, at least my opinion, chapters haven't kind of stunk so far. Honestly, I gotta say this chapter's been kind of rocky in terms of enjoyability, at least to me. I've not been enjoying it for the most part. New chapters are supposed to be fun and engaging, basically setting the stage for what we could expect from the year, but this one didn't really sit right with me. I remember loading into my first game and seeing the map for the first time, and just being rather... Visually, it felt like a step down from the vibrant and colorful maps we had at the launch of Chapter 6. Hell, even the Simpsons season. I mean, look at it! It's really just different shades of green and sand. Don't let the purple in the corner fool you. It's just sand with a literal coat of paint. The POIs didn't help, as majority of them felt like the same place, but slightly rearranged. If you put a gun to my head and told me to name this POI, I would just pull the trigger for you. The buildings, layout, and general aesthetics never felt distinct enough from one another to make most POIs memorable. We had some good ones like Wonky Land, which got ruined for a bit by the South Park collab. I don't care if it's a reference to the show, the Piss River wasn't funny. Lethal Labs had the ship and the 0-point shard, and Sandy Strip had the shape of play on the Vegas Sphere. Sure, these were notable. They also suffered from the biggest problem in this map: the absurd height issues. So many ledges, mountains, canyons, and hell, even the shape itself provided so much easy high ground all over this very tiny map. Like, this map was basically the same size as a reload map. This kind of small map is fine in reload due to it having less players per match, but regular BR went back to 100 after the Simpsons season, meaning if you were fighting, then 4 other teams were already close, ready to third party.
How many fucking people are coming here?
Now, I won't lie, this is 100% a skill issue. I'm a casual player. I am not winning any tournaments, but I'm sure I wasn't the only person who found this so frustrating. But that was just Season 1. I'm sure Season 2 will come along and fix this. It's not like they're gonna do anything that completely ruins the season before it starts. Right? Oh. Well, it can't get any worse, right? Wow, I didn't know Satan was real and he looked like this. At this point, I kind of checked out from the game and took a semi-break from Season 2. What I did play, it was mostly either bot lobbies or Lego, since I just wanted to complete the pass. That brings us to now with runners. And to be honest, I was going to skip the season as well. From all the trailers and teasers, it looked like another tropical season, and I haven't really had the best experiences with those in the past. Chapter 1 Season 8 was the season I stopped playing Fortnite originally, and Wilds is what I imagine hell looks like. So I didn't really feel like checking it out, but after the event was pleasantly surprising, and my friends were telling me it was like Pokemon, I gave it a shot, and yeah, this season is really fun. The majority of problems I had with the map have been fixed, but the entire thing just being replaced, which is the first time in Fortnite history they ever dropped a new map mid-chapter. We had big places added in the past, and we also had the OG and remix seasons that just kind of took us back to the old map, but like, they don't count because they were at the end of the chapter. I'm talking like midway through. This was a new map and a complete visual overhaul, and a very, very welcome and needed one. Looking at an FNGG, you can see they increased the map size significantly, which means there's more room, which means less third parties. I said less, not none. We'll get to that later. But for now, bigger map keeps everything spread out nicely, but not big enough that there's too much dead space between POIs. Speaking on the map, all the problems I had with it looking so dull are kinda gone. They've added these 2 new biomes that are pretty distinct, and shifted the original 2 biomes, the green and the sand, so they take up less space. The green has just been reduced down to the forest biome. This used to be the home of Wonky Land, however they switched it with Battlewood Boulevard, now known as Battle Woods. Because they're in the woods. I found it funny. The buildings have changed ever so slightly, adding more taller buildings. This is one with anime and manga references, which also includes a new manga team leader. I assume the one we'll be seeing in the new OG season. This one takes more inspiration from Sentai Mechs. I know the original was also taken from Sentai Mechs, but this one's more obviously taken reference from it. There's also this little storage unit building where you can play a little game of Storage Wars. You can pay some gold to unlock this secret one, which gives you a random one each time. Lastly, interesting to note, the mountain found here originally has shifted up to the corner of the map, them also adding more ways to get onto it. It's not really a big change, but it's kind of noticeable, especially since it's less likely to be in endgames now. The sand biome is now gone and dried out squiggly shores. I'm sure the community needs some time to process that. This place keeps a lot of the canyons and high grounds the original had, but there's far more, so you can better contest players on it. Oh, right, I should note that they added a POI based on you here. Now to the two new biomes, which will start off with the Autumn biome, which if you played late Chapter 3 or Chapter 4 would look very familiar to you. And actually, I'd say this whole side of the island gives off Chapter 3 or 4 vibes. Perhaps a teaser for an OG 3 or 4 at the end of the year? In terms of gameplay, this place is actually quite fun. It's become my main drop spot this season. There's not much high ground, but where there is, there's trees usually to provide cover. POIs are also quite notable. We have Frosted Flats, which feels a lot like Coney Crossroads, again, Chapter 3 vibes. This is my go-to drop spot. There's a decent lot of loot and vaults if you're lucky enough to get a key card. It also has this pretty cool ice cream shop. Not funny? Okay. Keeping up with the Chapter 3 vibes, we have Golden Grove, a place that really reminds me of the Sanctuary, the 7 home base back in the day. All it's really missing is a giant foundation statue. This place has 2 grades for the visitor and the origin, but not the scientist for some reason. Either a hint or they just hate him. Hashtag justice for scientist. Wonky Land survived the chaos and has now been moved to this more open area, instead of being sandwiched next to the mountain. Although I do think it's a bit too far on the edge, making it so most of the time you have to go out of your way to get there, and by the time you do, the storm is already here. You've gotta run. So it's time to enjoy this place, which is a shame, because this is a really fun POI. Latte stayed as well, I forgot about that, but it stayed, it's here. Now for the big area, the tropical jungle, the one that was in all of the marketing. It's tolerable. Like I said, I'm not a huge jungle POI guy. Most of the time I find them a slog to go through, but this one, not much like that. The trees help provide cover from some of the high ground, especially around here. Although if you're caught in the water most of the time, you better have some shockwaves or overdrives. Maybe a bunker. Now my biggest complaint is a similar problem to Wonky Land. Most of the POIs are on the edge of the map, making so that most of the time you gotta go out of your way to get there. However, I think these places offer far more value, especially Cluster Coast having a secret vault for you to claim, than having access to Shaken Sanctuary where you can launch to the air, giving you an easy rotation. The only place without the problem of being out of the way is Sinister Strip, which got a huge upgrade in my opinion. This place got a Dark Voyager makeover, with the shape even being under its control. You can still camp on it, but they've added much more cover with these walls and trees, so you don't get beamed to death half the time. Also, if it's endgame and people are camping on it, they've added this little undersection so you can camp out underneath. This undersection is also home to a vault similar to one found at Frosted Flats, so I'd say this is a pretty solid POI and another one of the drop spots I quite enjoy. That's enough gushing about the map. There's more that makes this season fun. And what's a Fortnite season without weapons? There's no script ARs this season, which is always something to celebrate. We have the Surgical Burst Rifle, which, as the name suggests, is a burst gun. You shoot out burst rounds, which can do pretty decent damage if you hit all your rounds. But I never find myself using this unless I don't have a choice, as I think it's pretty outclassed by the other weapons. We recently got the Warforged Assault Rifle from Myths and Mortals unvaulted, which was changed to do less damage, but have a tighter recoil, so you can use it better at long range. But I mainly find this more useful when you can't find a spray weapon early. But again, like the burst, I find it's to be outclassed, especially by our next gun, Satan's gun, the Chaos Exploder Rifle. Oh my god, this gun is insane. Like during the first day, it would just shred you in like 3 taps when you're at full shield. Thankfully, they nerfed the weapon. But I still think it's just better than the other ARs this season. I don't find myself ever picking up a Warforged or a Burst over this one. Pistols this season are incredibly overpowered, and honestly a better pickup than either of the SMGs in rotation. We have the Ranger pistol, which is an automatic pistol that it's just so good to use. I love this thing so much. It's like my go-to weapon every game. The Lancehead is also a really good option. It has a neat feature where you bonk your opponents on the head with an empty mag. You can only do this when you're reloading, and I don't think there's a consistent way of doing this, so it's just luck-based. Shotguns this season are pretty even in terms of which are the best. When the season started, I would have said the Chaos Reloader, but that was vaulted due to community feedback. Now I'd say all the shotguns are pretty usable. The Striker might be the best. Most pumps tend to do well, especially this one being quite quick. But the Maven is a faster alternative, and Focus Fire gets tighter with each shot, allowing you to be more accurate and output some higher hits. Hunting rifles are back as well, and these things are always beautiful and so satisfying to hit. Too bad I suck with them. Last thing I'll talk about is the new traversal item, the 7 sliders, allowing you to have a boosted slide. These things are one of my favorite traversal items Epic has ever dropped. They let you travel around or rotate so quickly, especially the limitless ones. When you jump while using them, you get a boosted jump, as if you were jumping off the edge. I find them to be most useful during fights to outmaneuver people, making you hard to hit. Honestly, they're a go-to pickup if I can find them, especially the limitless ones. But those ones are kinda rare. But they can be made easier to find with this season's feature, the sprites. The sprites from Chapter 6 are back, baby, but how they work has been changed. They kind of work like mini, less powerful medallions in a way. Instead of just sitting in your inventory and working like mini support items like a launch pad or shield keg, they now sit on your back and provide you with different buffs depending on which sprite you have equipped. They've added a ton more. Back in Chapter 6 we had 4 or 5 sprites to pick, but now we have 11. And we know there's more on the way from promotional art, loading screens, and the game just telling you. The sprites we currently have in game are Water, which gives you shield whenever you're in water, Fire, which starts a fire when you deal enough damage, Earth, the best one, giving you rarer items when you're opening chests, Duck, which restores health when emoting, Demon, which gives Siphon, king that deals extra pickaxe damage, Ghost, which lets you go invisible when reloading, Punk, which does nothing? I still don't know what this guy does, but he looks cool. Dream, which gives you an item when you level up, resulting in some rare items when you reach max level, and lastly, the rarest of them all, the 0 point sprite, which gives you a shield bubble when using health items. Kinda weird that this one is so rare, but the effect it gives you is kinda lame. Each of these sprites have several variants, kinda like shiny Pokemon. We have Gold, Gummy, and Galaxy, but there's more on the way. Probably later added in the season. But wait, CJ, that's only 10 sprites. You said 11. Nope. It's just them. There's no other one worth talking about. How you go about getting these guys has also changed. You can still find some wandering the map, but you'll mainly find them in these sprite chests. You can level them up to level 5, boosting the buff they give you, and you can take them from game to game by extracting them with these little pods, which gives you sprite dust. However, the catch is, if you die holding one you brought into the game, you'll lose the sprite and you can't use it again until you either find another or purchase one back using the sprite dust. Basically like a Pokemon Nuzlocke. If it dies in game, you'll lose it. This is kinda my main problem with the sprite system. I do like the risk of the one you bring in being lost if you die in concept, but in reality, I just don't want to bring my sprite in. Especially my rare ones like Gold or Gummy, because I don't want to lose them. Sure, I can just use a pod to send my sprite back if I really don't want to lose them, but that kind of defeats the point of me bringing a sprite in to use. I might as well just pick one up on the floor and just use that for the game. I also just don't think the extraction system is that great. There's 2 options to get those sprites out of here. The portable extraction pod you have in your inventory, which lets you spend 1 sprite away, and then it's on a 15-second cooldown, or the big extraction sites, which allows you to send multiple sprites away at a time. My problem comes from the fact that big extraction site doesn't really fit well into the BR flow. When you summon a pod, there's a very, 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 long build up to it actually arriving, which wouldn't be an issue if it didn't announce to the whole lobby, "You're here." This is where that third-party comment comes into play, because once you summon one of these, everyone within a 100-meter radius is already on their way to kill you for your sprites. While the single-use portable extractor is sort of an answer to this problem, it's a limited resource. You can only get about 2 a day from challenges and with sprite dust, so once you use them up, you're forced to use the big extraction sites, which are all in very vulnerable spots with very limited cover. For most of it, it just makes you a really big target, especially when you try to extract the rare sprites. At the time of you writing this, they just held the Power Hour, boosting the rate of golden sprites, which was a fun little event and a cool way for people to get hold of these rare sprites. But during that event, those extraction sites were bloodbaths. We all had like 8 people on this one extraction site fighting over who gets to extract the golden sprite. I'm not asking for it to be made completely easy with no risk. Risk is part of the game. All I want is a few small adjustments to make the system flow better. And when you lose a sprite, it doesn't feel like there was nothing that you could have done to prevent that. For the record, I know some people have a problem with it. Personally, I don't have a problem with sprite stealing. It's just part of the season. Hell, honestly, most of my fun has come from sprite hunting.
Oh my god!
That guy's a gummy sprite. Get him.
Yes!
He's yours, man. He's yours. Take that gummy sprite.
That man's playing Gallagher. Come on.
That man's playing Gallagher. Extract that shit quickly. Extract it.
I'm gonna extract him.
Portable extract him. Crash. I'll body block you. Get that shit out of here.
Yes!
Yeah! Woo!
Yes!
We got a gummy sprite.
And I think that's everything. This season is still pretty early on. By the time of me writing this, we haven't even had the first update. But it's definitely been a huge improvement for Chapter 7. And if this keeps up, maybe I won't consider this entire chapter a complete failure. With that being said, I'd love to hear what you guys think about the season, so drop your opinions below. Now I'm gonna go hunt for more sprites, so have a good one. Peace.